my heart is just huge. It's just overwhelmed with gratitude and love for this program and for these beautiful meetings and everyone. Everyone, I mean, there are lots of new people. Welcome, welcome. But I used to go through my week and I would remember certain things that people said. I would write down things during the meeting, and it really made a huge impact on my journey. So that was huge. And Shimrit, 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 it was just incredible. You were the most compassionate, loving, wise. You just were right there throughout my journey. And it was a very, I feel sometimes like, if anyone were to doubt that they can't get through this program or fail in some way, I am evidence that you will not. Because I came to this program really thinking this was my last hope, because I had spent most of my life having such a terrible struggle with mental health conditions. And it's not like, I didn't have joy, I didn't have successes, I didn't have adventure. I did, but it just was always there that I had to use all of my strength to suppress it and sort of fake that I was doing just fine all the time. And then the last 20 years it was impossible to fake it anymore. And so you know, I had gotten to this point where I felt like I just wasn't alive anymore. And sorry. So I remember talking to my sister and saying, I just have to find a new path. And she had just gone to a workshop that Shimrit had given. And so she said, well, there's a new workshop by this woman, and she told me all about it. And so I decided, well, sure, sure, I need help. So, I really I went to 2 workshops before because I was scared to join, but I finally realized like this is the way for me to go, because I just felt this a little shard of hope, that there is a possibility for me to be relieved of this terrible burden. And it did happen. It took a lot of work. And there were many months, well, sometimes many weeks, where I was just in the dark and struggling so much. But I would stay in touch with Shimrit, and she was so great at just explaining, this kind of thing isn't going to just disappear overnight, it's going to take time, but you're on your way. I love that. You're on your way, you're on your way. And I clung to that. And I clung to so many things that I would hear in people's shares, because every time someone shares, it's like a testimonial that this works. It works. So I would get away from the meeting and I think, this works. So therefore it has to work for me, So I kept going. And I can't remember, I don't want to take too much time because I know there's other things to do, but the 2 things I remember distinctly was, I think it might have been month 4. I started to hear my own voice in myself. And I think it was the first time I actually felt like there was this person who was still alive in me, that had a voice and wanted things and had dreams and feelings, and they were real feelings. So, so it just I just kept moving. That inspired me so much. And then it was when I was doing the lesson on identity, that was the big one. Because when I didn't do all the homework perfectly, but I just did it the best I could. That was my approach. I'm going to just do the best I can with what I can do. And so I just did it. But what I discovered was that there is this whole other self that I am, and that I had been convinced, I don't want to blame them, by so many physicians and all kinds of psychiatric blah, 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 that, there was nothing I could do. This was something, a condition in my brain. It's hereditary. My father had it, his father had it, et cetera, et cetera. And so I just have to figure out how to navigate my life with it, but I couldn't do it anymore. And so the beautiful thing was I realized I could see and feel that I had a self that wasn't part of that. Like that was just not true. All of these diagnoses are not part of my identity. And that was like a revelation. It was a huge revelation. And I always had a sense that I was from spirit, but it never got beyond the philosophical. I mean, that was the problem. So for me, it was having this beautiful feeling that I am a self that has nothing to do with this. Now that does that mean that the depression never comes to me or certain things don't come to me? No, they come, but it's not, my relationship with it is so profoundly different that I can have choices and I can choose not to converse with it, as Shimmer did one day. When I started saying, oh, I didn't do this, I started getting on my own case. And she said, you know what? I'm not going to have this conversation. And it was such a great thing because I realized like, oh, I'm going to do that, And it came to me the other day when I was sick and I just thought, you know what? I'm not having this conversation. It was just cut it off instantly. So that was really beautiful. So I feel as though, even though I'm completing my 6 months, that the door is now open for me to have a very different life. And I never, ever imagined that I would have the freedom that I have now. So I just can't thank you and the program and everybody here enough. I'm just so full of gratitude.